Now, it's another day, and what appears to be one of the country's biggest problems is what is engaging the attention of the entire country today. Already, government has announced the deployment of speed cameras and other technologies as part of wide-ranging measures to address the carnage on our roads. It is part of recommendations made by the Interministerial Committee put together by President Akufo-Addo to look into last year's accident, which claimed many lives. Now, the number of persons killed in two separate accidents on Friday alone comes to more than 70. That's 70 lives in one day. We're having a conversation on this matter shortly, but first, listen to the Executive Director of the National Road Safety Commission, May Obriyeboah, announcing the measures government is putting in place in Accra yesterday.
The report recommended the following. 1. Transformation of the National Road Safety Commission to an authority and a budgetary support of 6.5 million cedis for the Commission to scale up public education, sensitization, and training. 2. Request for approval of a proposal by the Ghana Police Service to enable the MTTD to A. Deploy traffic cameras systems to detect and apprehend speed, red light, and related traffic offenses, and B. Remove disabled vehicles from the road. 3. Request for an amount of 1.05 billion Ghana cedis for the road agencies, that is Ghana Highway Authority, Department of Urban Roads, and Department of Feeder Roads, to clear the backlog of road signs, road line markings, traffic signal lights, and crash barriers on the national road network. By a letter dated 16 April 2018, the President granted executive approval for the proposed working solutions.
May Obriyeboah is the head of the National Road Safety Commission there, and you heard her speaking yesterday at the Ministry of Information's press conference, announcing the measures that government is putting in place. Now, I'm going to break it down for you further, and I'd like for you to come along with me whilst I take you through those details of that presentation that she made yesterday. They're talking about committing about 1.6 billion cedis. And that 1 billion cedis, that's a lot of money. And they're looking at investing this money into areas such as road signages, you know, go this way, don't go that way. But a lot of people have also said, well, you can't have the road signages, but if the drivers do not understand those signages, you might as well not invest the money there at all. But let's take a very quick look again at the things that she talks about. Transformation of the National Road Safety Commission. Now, last week when we had that conversation, one of the things that the Commission says will help is when they are, you know, transitioned from a commission into an authority. Well, they've got a budgetary support to that effect, and that's, we're looking at 6.5 million cedis for the Commission to scale up public education, sensitization, and training. Now, what it means is that the Road Safety Commission will have a lot more teeth, if you like, to bite. It will have a lot more powers. Then it will be able to regulate, for example, regulate the work of private commercial transport. Now, the second thing is a request for approval of a proposal by the Ghana Police Service to enable the MTTD to do the following. 1, to deploy traffic camera systems to detect and apprehend speed, red light, and related traffic offenses. Now, this is the key part of the transformation that a lot of Ghanaians have said we need, because elsewhere there are cameras all over the place. Now, if you're driving and you break the rules, you know, on the road, you cross or you jump a red light, you know, these cameras are able to track you. In fact, because elsewhere people have their details in the state system, the state will find you and they will bring you a fine. They will bring it to your house. That's what I mean when I say the state will find you. Secondly, they are looking to remove disabled vehicles from the road, and that became a very controversial conversation somewhere last year or 2 years ago regarding how government wanted to take that, wanted to take money, or how the implementers wanted to go about that particular recommendation. Now, the third recommendation here is a request for an amount of 1.5 billion for the road agencies, that's Ghana Highway Authority, Department of Urban Roads and Department of Feeder Roads, to clear the backlog of road signs, road line markings, traffic signal lights and crash barriers on the national road network. Now they're hoping that when all of these signs, sometimes you're driving but you can't really focus on your lane because there are no road markings, you know, to lead you on, and that becomes a bit problematic, especially when there's fog, or when you are in a foggy area. So they're looking to improve upon the traffic signal lights, the road line markings and crash barriers as well. So how is government implementing this, or how does government intend to implement all of these recommendations? Mind you, these recommendations were made, you know, last year when President Akufo-Addo tasked the Interministerial Committee to do it. Now, what we're seeing so far, what we're being told so far by government, is that Cabinet has granted an approval of the memorandum to transform the National Road Safety Commission to the National Road Safety Authority. Last Friday, when I hosted the National Road Safety Commission here in the studio, they did tell us that plans are far advanced, and then we were also told that the proposal to change the commission, or to transform the commission from a commission, or from its status at the moment to an authority, is already ongoing. We're told that the document, or at this point, they are at the Attorney General's Department. That's the stage where they are at the moment regarding the transformation of this commission into an authority. They're also looking at the Ghana Road Fund, that has released the 6.5 million cedis to the National Road Safety Commission in full. Now, what that means is that the money needed for the Road Safety Commission to embark on the exercises, the education, the sensitization programs has been given. What are they doing? What is the plan even? Because one of the things that we don't do very well here in this country is have a plan, and a plan that is shared with the public, so that we all can have a buy-in. We know at this point that the Ghana Road Fund has released that money to the Road Safety Commission. You've heard the Road Safety Commission boss as well, and momentarily we'll be analyzing, you know, how all of this plays in, and we'll be hearing your thoughts as well. We've asked you to share that with us on social media. Now, we're still on implementation of the plan so far. We're looking at installation of road crossing aids, popularly known as lollipop stands, at basic schools in selected regions to assist the school children to cross the road safely. 150 of the planned 1,000 lollipop stands across the country have been installed. Now we need to be following up on that to check whether or not we can actually find those 150 of the planned lollipops, since we're told that they've already been done. But in all, we're looking at achieving 1,000 of those. Now, one of the things, again, that we do in this country is that most of the time you see a lot of children crossing the road all by themselves, going to school, sometimes very early in the morning, little children crossing the road all by themselves. Well, this is supposed to address that particular problem, which feeds into the carnage on our roads. Now, installation of 8 first aid posts at the following location as part of a pilot, for a total of 100 expected to be installed on selected locations to improve emergency response to victims of road traffic crashes. Here again, a lot of people have said that anytime there is an accident, there is very poor handling of the victims, and people have even referred to this particular accident that happened at Kintampo and said that some of the people may have died because of how they were treated, unprofessional treatment of persons involved in accident. Now, if the first aid posts are installed in these places, the expectation is that anytime there's an accident, the people who are involved, the victims, will have quick help that could save them in the long run. So these are the locations so far. These are on pilot basis. So we have Suboy, Bonsu, Asankari, Dwaso, all on the Accra-Kumasi Highway. And you'll admit that these are areas, I mean, the Accra-Kumasi Highway is indeed notorious for accidents. And there's Toje near Ada and Nogokbo on the Accra-Aflao Road, which is again a highway. There is the Ochireko and Apam Junction on the Accra Cape Coast Highway. And indeed, it's interesting that there is the Kumasi Highway and Cape Coast Highway. If you do recall, Cape Coast last Friday recorded 10 deaths. In fact, that accident claimed 10 human beings. So there it is, Ochireko and Apam Junction on the Cape Coast, Accra Cape Coast Highway, and then Ada, the Aflao Road, Accra Aflao Road, and then the Accra Kumasi Highway. These are the areas where 8 first aid posts will be expected to be installed on a pilot basis, and hopefully it works. Now, finally, in terms of implementation, the Commission has procured 10 each of speed radar guns and alcometers and 4,000 of reflective jackets valued at 1.5 million cedis to enhance their capacity for enforcement of road traffic laws and regulations. And they were told that these will be handed over to the MTTD before end of March 2019. And it's quite interesting because I mean, March 2019, that's just about next week. But if those have been procured already, why are they still with those who procured it? Why have they not already been dispatched to the people who need it to work? Why does it have to take all the way? And in fact, is this happening because 70 people died over the weekend? Well, the good thing is that these have been procured and they will be sent. And what remains to be seen is whether or not they will actually I mean, you need to see it to verify, to be sure that it has. So 10 each of speed radar, we're told. Speed radar guns have been bought and they'll be given out. It's be interesting to find out how these 10 will be distributed, you know, across the entire country. And then 4,000 reflective jackets valued at 1.5 million cedis. That has to be handed over by March 2019. So that is where we are as far as implementation of the recommendations made by the Interministerial Committee's work is concerned. This is where we are. Well, this afternoon, we're asking you to join us with your thoughts on Facebook. How do you think we can deal with this problem as a nation? We have some experts here to help us analyze the proposals. Already, Chairman of the Road Safety Advocates Ghana, Nana Ano Amehie, has been responding to the measures put in place.
There's something we call naming and shaming. If you are a seasoned journalist, if you go out there to ask legitimate questions or inquiries from a minister, that Minister of Transport, this thing happened, and we want information to educate the general public so that they go out there and look out for some of these things that have a propensity of causing road crashes. That you would be doing your job as a media, wouldn't you?
Right. Nana Ano Amehie there. Well, JoyNews is Maxwell Agbagba today stepped out to speak to drivers and transport operators on what they believe the problem is and what can be done to tackle it.
We're here at a VIP bus terminal. We know this place is very busy all the time. We're here to speak to the people who really matter when it comes to conveying you from Accra or from one destination to the other. We came here some minutes ago, and a lot of things that we heard, has to do with dual carriageway. They're saying you should dualize our roads because they say that sometimes it's really dangerous on some of the stretch that they use.
In fact, it is the #1 issue that are on the lips of the drivers because we have single carriageways and then the number of vehicles in the country is increasing by the day.
What we are learning now is that because these are just, because these roads, some of the roads that you've mentioned are not dual carriageway, there's a lot of congestion on the stretch. Sometimes stress sets in, for some of the, drivers.
Certainly, we hear of head-on collision bringing about. In 3 years ago, February, there was an accident on Kintampo Highway involving a high occupancy coach. It was a head-on collision. We suffered 53 persons dying. In the current issue that we talk about, this accident is a head-on collision. So when we have a dual carriageway and then we avoid the use of the single carriageway, you are not likely to have a head-on collision coming about. Then we can limit the issue about drivers having to rest and undergo training and then conforming to the rules on the highway. So certainly we have come to a situation where we can safely say that single carriageways are outdated. No developed or under a developing country would want to use a single carriageway in the 21st century. Any driver who travels beyond Kumasi to the 3 northern regions and the upper parts of the Brahafo regions, we employ 2 drivers. Okay. One driver has to assist the other in order for them to get there safely, and then there are rest stops on the way that the driver stops. So, for instance, from here to Tamale, the driver will stop at Lindador and stop at Kintampo. Though they have 2 drivers, there are 2 stops that the driver has to take some time off and then stretch.
You free just so so talk a lot of accidents is see what easy. We say, Kwani 20 kakra jinanchen kakra bia. Onse the all ban so want me steady no. Now say a create lot of accidents.
Accidents
who be 3 accidents. Heavy ones pa enya sam ketua. This a cars na doso by 2-3 years time no. Say Kwana ntimi anya double road a obefiri abedu Kumasi no betuma take more than 8 hours.
He's also making a case for a dual carriageway. He says there are a lot of cars on the road now and there's a lot of congestion. So in some years to come, if we are not able to go the dual carriageway for most of our highways, it's likely that you spend 8 hours before you get to.
Maxwell Agbagba there, who went out earlier today. Well, we have Nana Anwame here with us here in the studio so we can expand this discussion so far. Nana, you're welcome. It's been a while.
Yes, it has been.
Very well.
And as ever, you're always looking very...
And also here in the studio is Abbas Ibrahim Moro. He's the Industrial Relations Officer for the GPRTU. Mr. Moro, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Momentarily, I've been telling you about what's happening in Parliament because members of the Road and Transport Committee have also been sharing their views on this. Before that, though, let me welcome my guest again and let's continue with the start the discussions and then we'll go to Parliament momentarily. So, gentlemen, you're welcome.
Thank you.
It's really sad what happened on Friday, and I'm sure that you both heard about it. We've been talking about it, and that's what usually happens. We talk about it, and after a week or two, we'll, everybody goes to sleep, and the next thing we know, we're talking about another accident. What do you make of the plans that the National Road Safety Commission is put in place? Yesterday, there was a press conference at the Ministry of Information, and they're telling us how much government is pumping in, or how much government is committing to improving signages on our road to make sure that it is safe. I'm wondering if you've heard that story and what your thoughts are about it.
Well, let me say good evening or good afternoon to your cherished viewers and listeners. I heard that the National Road Safety Commission is being changed to National Road Safety Authority,
yeah,
which has been long overdue. But now hearing it is a step in the right direction. But I embrace it with cautious optimism.
Why?
Why? You see, Ghana, we create authorities. We give people authorities. Good. We have National Petroleum Authority. We have National Communication Authority. We have other authorities that I cannot name all of them at the moment on top of my head. But aren't we still the same? Have you seen any improvement? I don't see how they can change the National Road Safety Commission into an authority and then they don't give them the tools to work with.
Well, they've allocated some money to the commission. That money is supposed to help them with the transition. That's about 6 million. It's about 6 million. I mean, we can get the figure as
6.5 million. This is
that's some money, isn't it?
That's 6.5 million. Advocates, we work closely with the National Road Safety Commission. That was announced as far back as October 2017.
Okay. But now the money has been released to them.
We've been asking, when is that money going to be released? And that was a money that came directly from the president. That because of the carnage that was going on, he was going to release that money for them to scale up media sensitization and stuff like that. And we've been long awaiting for that, and it never came. But there were money that were also meant for the road agencies to do line markings and what have you. That, as far back as 2017, that had not materialize. So when I hear that government have done this, government, I believe it, but millions will not. So until I see it, then I say yes.
Until you see it, you not believe it. Nana,
believe
I'll come back to you and talk about what you think the problem is from your perspective. But Mr. Morrow, let me come to you as well. You work with the drivers all the time. Now we're hearing that this accident was caused as a result of overspeeding and that the driver was sleeping. One of the drivers was sleeping. From your perspective, from the GPRTU's perspective, what is the problem? What is causing all of these?
Well, thank you very much. No driver leaves home with the intention of not returning back home. You see, we have to look at accident, define it, and believe it could be avoidable, it could happen to anybody. Who knows who was there? Nobody was there. Nobody knew how it really happened. But we strongly believe that if we all go by the road traffic regulations, we abide by some of the signs, yes, of course, but let's also look at the highways that we are using. Some has very big potholes, which we all knows that it can cause accidents. Some have some peculiar problems on it. About 2 weeks ago, visited Kumasi, and when we were coming back, it just occurred to me some of the ramps, some of the, I don't know if the road signs were put before. You know, you have to be one ahead before
when you're approaching a ramp.
Yeah. Most of them are not there. So a stranger traveling on this highway, you can imagine what and some of these ramps too are not smaller ramps, very huge ramps that if you climb unexpectedly with a certain speed, it could cause accidents. So we strongly believe, yes, as a driver as I am, if we can go by the road traffic signs, we can abide it, go by the regulations on the road, yes, but who knows what really happens? Nobody knows.
Well, there are some survivors from that particular accident, and so I believe that most of them are still recovering from the accident. But along the line, perhaps some of them can help us understand exactly what happened. But you spoke about bad roads and the fact that sometimes when you are approaching a speed ramp, there's no warning. So it comes back to one of the things that one of the recommendations given by the Interministerial Committee. What they said is that they're pumping 1 billion cedis into that. They're looking to put on the road signages and all of that. But again, you can see the road signage but not understand. Do you know that?
Oh, I strongly disagree. It's not all. How many drivers doesn't understand the road signs?
Are you saying all the drivers understand the road signs?
I'm not saying all, but averagely. Anybody driving, it's not only a commercial driver, it's a driver. When you move your car on the road, you are a driver.
Yeah, of course. Driving. But at the moment, and with you, I'm talking about the private drivers, the private commercial drivers, because the accident that happened involved a private transport, a private commercial transport. And in it, what happens is that a lot of people are in one car. So in this instance, we have about 70 people who have died. You understand? I mean, any single life should not die. It should not be lost to an accident. But when we're talking about a transport private vehicle, because a lot of people are on it, then it requires even much more attention. Is the GPRTU able to organize periodic refresher courses, for the drivers to, as far as the road signs are concerned and as far as driving tired and being careful on the road? Is that something you do?
Yes, last year we invited a lot of media, including Joy. We never turn up. GPRTU in Greater Accra, we've been organizing 2 seminars for our drivers in a year. Later part of last year, I would strongly believe you go through your files and made it public, known to the public. We invited Joy. Our letters we brought a letter, we brought a reminder. Nobody came.
I'm sure we came.
Yeah, I wanted to make it public. Nobody from Joy came.
I'm sure we came, but go ahead with the
point. So we have Greater Accra, yes, we've been doing it twice in a year to educate our drivers. We've been bringing experts from various educational schools to talk to our people. Some films were even shown to our people to understand at times, even if it's raining, how you should go about your driving profession, how you should do it professionally. We've been doing this, so I strongly believe even this has brought some of the accidents in Greater Accra down. And we strongly believe other regions will also emulate this example.
I'll come back to you both and talk about Nana. Like I said before I went to Mr. Moro, I said that I would like for you to talk to us what you think the problem is, and then what the solutions the government is offering, how those solutions can help. But I'd like for us to go to Parliament, because a member of the Parliament's Roads Committee, Isaac Ajay Mensah, is saying that the impact of government's efforts to deal with the road carnages are not necessarily being felt, even though government is insisting it is on course to implementing the recommendations of the 3-member Committee of Ministers on Road Accident. Mr. Mensah says a lot more work needs to be done.
Get them fixed, and there are carnages on the roads. When they are not fixed, there are also issues. I think it's disappointing. It's a total failure of the issue of morality and decency. We have all those laws and rules and regulations there for us to follow, road safety and everything, but we still have this in the right track. I think that what we need to do as a people is to reassess ourselves and get to know that morally we are failing. The point is that we call for structures. These are formal structures. Fix the roads, put all those details together. We need as a people to attitudinally follow them. You can put everything in place. When by ourselves we don't get disciplined in doing the right things, we get some of these things happening.
But doesn't the state also have a responsibility to the extent that if people abandon what they need to do, the state needs to make sure they do the right thing?
Exactly. You see, it's give and take. I think that most of the issues stems from or ends up at the doorsteps of the government, the state. The state must ensure that as a people we implement what we have enacted to do, the laws and regulations and everything. And so if the failure is there, you don't say, the people attitudinally are not doing that. We have a responsibility as leaders, the state, to do that. So
speaking of the state, government says its task force recommendations are being implemented. They've given Road Safety Commission 6.5 million for education. They are investing up to $1 billion on dealing with road signs and other road challenges. Is there more that can be done? Do you get the sense these things are really being done?
I think that we need more resources to get it done. You provided all these resources, but we need to put in place people to implement them. It sits with the government executive. Implementation sits with the executives, with the government. And so if you provide them money, if you provide them everything, your people must make sure that all those things work. And if they're not working, that's the issue. The issue relating to attitude, if people offend the rules and regulations, there are sanctions. And so we need to do that. But in addition to this, I was getting to another point where we provide all these things. As a people, as a government, we also have that attitudinal challenge. You see, when we isolate the people and the government, we are talking about the pedestrians and everything. But the government or as a people, we are part of it because our attitudes to implementation of these things is also a factor. And so when there are issues, certainly you want to go to the government and apportion some blame.
So the committee, you're on the Roads and Transport
Yes.
Committee. As the representative of the people in the light of, let's say, the Kintampo incident, what can we expect of you as a representative so you don't see these things repeated?
I think that we have to enforce the rules. We have to ensure that we make the provision of resources much clearer and ensure that we have evidence to show that what we have now, if you set a timeline and everything, is not working. So let's re-look into the system, the rules and regulations, the support, the structures in place, and add some more to it and intensify the road and safety education thing. It works. I think that in the past there have been some successes on the NDC where we provided resources and where we continued to ensure that people are engaged and education and so on put in place properly. It works.
Are you seeing that same level of commitment?
As a member of the Road Committee in Parliament there, we'll get back to Parliament, but let's continue with the conversation. So now, before we let, I was asking you, we've heard from GPRTU rep here doesn't necessarily want to admit that the drivers, in the state of mind in which the drivers are, could actually be a contributing factor to this. What do you see from where you sit as being the real problem here, and how do we tackle it?
You see, when we want to talk about the GPRTU, let me speak briefly, but I have a lot of things to talk about. I'll speak briefly about GPRTU. GPRTU, as a major stakeholder in the public transportation system, they are not doing their best. As you speak, if you go and want to go online to find GPRTU website, you will not find one.
So if you say they are not doing their best, exactly what do you mean?
Last time there was a forum that I went to at Highways, organized by the National Road Safety Commission. And when I went there, we as advocates, we have identified that fatigue is one of the major causes of road crashes on our road. And the GPRTU are a major stakeholder in the public transport system. So there's this technology where we have a smart cap. It's a smart cap that you can customize it to suit your purpose, that you can put on, and there are sensors in that cap that monitors your brain, the performance of your brain. So when you're going to fall into a micro sleep, that will trigger and give you an alarm that, hey, Gifty, you are about to sleep, so wake up. It wakes you up. So most of the crashes that you see, that happens around 5 a.m., 7 p.m. to 8 p.m.
I think they are as a result of fatigue. And that this smart cap could help deal with it. Mr. Mora, do you know about... I just wanted him to quickly respond to that.
No, you will respond. I took that sample of that because the mining sector, who takes safety as their first life, they have embraced it and they are using it in the mining sector where their truck drivers and all those, they wear it and it avoids all.
So it's working in the mining sector. But you brought it in the transport sector and they did not...
I'm telling you, the National Road Safety Commission didn't look at it. GPRTU was there. Oh, they just said, oh, is that so? And then, if nobody. So for me, this morning I was so outraged.
I'll come to that, but I need to get a response from
I totally disagree with mine.
But do you remember that particular meeting where he brought where the advocates brought those caps? Do you know about those caps?
Yes, I know about it. Our National General Secretary was there. He briefed us about it, so we are aware. But I totally disagree with him.
You don't like it?
No, not that we don't like it.
Do you think that
if there is a modern gadget which will improve
I just want to find out.
in our work, why not?
No, hold on. Just be...
but for the fact that because we are not using it,
I just need you to be very... I just need you to be very frank and to be very truthful and honest about... I mean, feel free to say, if you think that cap is not something that will work, feel free to talk about it so that he's here, we'll have that conversation. Do you think... You've seen that cap, you say. Do you think that it's an effective tool?
Please listen to me. I disagree with him for saying that because we did not patronize it, that is why we are having accidents. No.
Oh no!
If there is a modern,
hold on, Mr. Moro, hold on.
Which will improve.
Hold on, Mr. Moro. Let me make this clear. So he says there was a meeting that he attended. The National Road Safety was there. At this meeting, they as advocates, they had brought some caps, and they're saying that cap, if you wear that cap, it triggers a sound when you're about to, an alarm when you're about to sleep or when you're about to doze off. And he's saying that you did not pay any attention to it. He did not say that is the reason why we're having accidents, but he's saying we know the problem about accidents, and we know that we cannot take away the problem from fatigue. When people are tired, when people are tired, they cannot drive safely. He's saying that is one of the problems. So this cap is supposed to help solve that problem. But when they brought it to the meeting, you did not pay it any attention.
That doesn't mean GPRTU.
That's why
GPRTU did not pay attention.
No, don't take it from that perspective.
Let's present it, drivers.
Mr. Moro, don't take it from the perspective of don't try to defend it because you feel it is an attack on GPRTU.
I will finally land positively.
Exactly. So let's deal with it. It's a problem. Really, if I have a family member on that bus that died, I mean, I would just think this is just a trip to what? Tamale or to Cape Coast, they should not die.
Likewise,
so exactly. So let's look at the problem.
Our driver too.
Exactly. So let's look at the problem and how we can deal with the problem. My question to you is whether you think that cap that he's talking about, do you think it is an effective tool? Can it help?
Journalist, you've asked a question. Allow me to explain.
Please go on.
You are forcing me to accept something.
No. I'm asking you a question, and I want the answer.
Sister,
that's what I'm asking.
The cap is not the first thing which trigger you whenever you are dozing off. Initially, the first thing which came, you put it around your ear.
Okay.
And whenever you twist your neck, it will trigger you. Before the cap also came. Yes, if there is a modern gadget which will improve in our work, why not? Why not? We'll embrace it. But is it free? Are they selling it?
Okay.
How much?
Okay.
Have they given us education, much education on it?
Okay.
These are some of the things.
Questions that you want answered.
We want to
exactly
ask.
The point I want you to raise, so that since he's here, we can get that response as well. So he raised a very legitimate concern. He said, look, we agree that we want to solve the problem. If you think this is a good way to solve the problem, we need education on it. We need exposure. How much is it even? Is this something that you want to, for example, team up with the National Road Safety Commission, and they've got some money to see if they can.
I couldn't agree more with Mr. Morrow. See, I'm here to do, Mr. Morrow, I'm here to assist you as an advocate.
Yes.
For me, most of the advocates, I particularly, I'm a techno geek. I like to see avant-garde technology that we can bring to bear on our modern way, in our modern way of doing things. Now, I've gone to research, and I've realized that this modern smart cap will be able to remove fatigue as one of the causal factors.
So he gets that. Yes. He gets that. What he's saying is that there's an issue of cost. There's an issue of cost.
No,
we need to wrap up.
Whatever cost or not, that can be dealt. Once you have to embrace the policy first. Once you embrace it, then
you think they've not embraced it?
Well,
you've not seen the commitment.
I haven't condemned it. I have never condemned it.
I don't even blame them. Because if National Road Safety Commission, who is the agency that's supposed to coordinate safety on our roads and whatever, they should have even taken interest. I'm not the promoter of that. I'm not the promoter of that.
Nana, is this something that you can push with the National Road Safety Commission to get them
National
to
Road Safety Commission will not even listen to you.
Wow.
About some of these things. They have their own agenda. I mean, I'm so outraged. And I'm talking the way I'm talking because we've worked closely with National Road Safety Commission on numerous occasions. And then we try to do the filling when they cannot do certain things. But this time round, I'm really outraged because they're not out there to do the needful. They're just only there and then...
I need to wrap up. I need to wrap up. So give me your final comments on this, Nana.
My final comment is that, you see, the biggest contributor that we must do, that government should look at now. You know, the vans that are being imported and be converted into buses.
Yes.
There's something we call secondary pollution. Secondary pollution. When there's a crash, the people that will die in the van or in the bus is not as a result of that crash, but as a result of what I'm talking about, secondary pollution. The metals that have been used that are not supposed to be used in the car is what killed the occupants. Okay. Secondly, before I go, I saw the bus.
This one?
This bus lying on its side.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And I heard people were burnt alive in it. One of our advocates had been in court for 7 years, and he had won a case that every bus that carries more than 12 occupants should have an exit door, an emergency exit on the other side.
So going forward, these are the areas that you want attention on.
Now, if this emergency door was in place, I bet the bus was on the side where the passengers went in. If
so the people could have broken.
No, not broken. The emergency door would have been engaged. Okay. And then the occupants who were burnt alive would have gotten out, and at least we would have saved some lives instead of those 50 people who were burnt. Who died in this. We have the laws, we have everything. Instead of DVLA implementing the emergency door, they have refused to do it. Okay. And we are going to take them on in court to enforce them to get the emergency door.
That will be a very great intervention. That will be a very great intervention. Nana Ano Ame here is an advocate, road safety advocate. They've been doing a lot of work on this, and they said talking about a smart cap that will help drivers stay awake and stay alert there. And this is obviously a conversation that we should keep having over and over and over again, if that is what will help us get the results. But what do you think about the problem? How do you think we can deal with it? We've been asking you for your thoughts on Facebook. Some of you have been sharing your thoughts with us. Let's quickly go through that. This one says, Samuel says, our leaders know what to be done. Everyone in Ghana knows how to play safe to avoid accident. The vehicles are not controlling the humans. It is the humans who drive the machines. We, the humans, direct how the machine should go. You're asking where drivers overspeed, do not obey road signs, unnecessary overtaking, etc. You think that's a problem? We're looking really actually for solutions. Let's see if we can find some more here. Onapo says maybe the 100 million money for cathedral can be used for dual carriages. Okay, Chris Fofano says cars imported to Ghana should be 50 maximum speed limit. I don't know if that's possible. But one of the points that Nana makes is that these vehicles, these sprinter vehicles that are being imported here, which we're using for trotters and etc., we should really pay attention to that. The DVLA owes us the responsibility to do that. Mohammed says stop the overspeeding and reckless overtakings. I agree with that. Grace Bedu says everyone to go through a driving school practical written knowledge Q&A before license. Grace, trust me, people will still get through the system even without writing them. This one says we talk too much and do very little. Of course we do. Arnold Hallo says they have to advise drivers to reduce their speed on our road. The speed is too much. And let me take this very final comment and then we will call it a wrap. Kofi John Captain says too much indiscipline on our roads. Overspeeding, crossing red lights, dangerous overtaking, driving on road shoulders, you mean the fringes, lack of safety training, long distance driving without rest, and lack of proper maintenance, etc., etc. So these are the problems, and we know the problem. How to solve that problem is the issue right now. The fatigue, they're saying that the smart cap can help you stay awake. Overspeeding, indiscipline, really, people have said that this is the work of the state. If there are rules and regulations that are being monitored and adhered to, that are being implemented, people will perhaps stay disciplined, because you don't just acquire discipline. Discipline just doesn't happen. It has to happen when there is a system to check people and make sure that it does happen. Well, let's go back to Parliament because the Kumungu Member of Parliament, Ras Mubarak, has also been describing as disappointing Parliament's inability to observe a 1-minute silence for the victims of the Kintampo accident, although same was done for foreign countries that are having issues today. The MPs observed 2 separate minutes of silence for the victim of shooting in New Zealand and the cyclone in Mozambique, but none was done for the Kintampo victims. Mr. Mubarak says Parliament could have done better.
Here since morning on the Public Accounts Committee, but I find that rather surprising. I mean, more than 70 of our compatriots have lost their lives. You know, never in the history of Ghana have we witnessed such twin disasters with this number of casualties. And I don't know what is happening. Probably once Parliament is still in session, perhaps there may be something before close of day.
They are done with statements. They are currently considering the bill on Chartered Institutes of Education. All morning there was
Chartered Institute of Bankers.
Chartered Institute of Bankers. All morning there were 2 separate minutes of silence on both disasters, but not on Kintampo.
That is disappointing. You know, it's a letdown of the people who elected us to represent them. This is a national disaster. Families have been touched by this. And we represent the people, you know, and one would expect that even if a statement weren't ready, there will be at least a minute silence as a mark of respect for our compatriots who have lost their lives tragically. But I'm also disappointed by the fact that the president hasn't found time to visit surviving victims, many of whom are still in hospital, and again that shows a lack of leadership. I'm sure if you've been following international news, the Israeli Prime Minister has cancelled a trip to Washington to head back home to Israel.
Ras Mubarak there speaking about how Parliament observed 2 separate minutes of silence for Mozambique and New Zealand without doing same for those who perished on the Kintampo and Cape Coast roads. Now.